GitHub have just released its biggest update in years, stacked PRs, a brand new way to break down massive PRs into more manageable chunks. In this video, we're going to cover exactly what they are and why you'd use them. Stacked PRs are a powerful but fairly simple concept. Break large code changes into a chain of smaller dependent pull requests you can review and merge independently. To have a stack, you need 2 or more pull requests in the same repository where the first or bottom pull request targets the trunk, usually your repository's default branch such as main, then each subsequent pull request targets the previous. This forms a dependency chain where each branch builds on the one below it. Foundational changes such as shared types or database schemas go in the lower branches, and code that depends on them, such as API routes and UI components, goes in the higher branches. And you may be thinking, well, I've always been able to do this, right? I could raise a PR to main and then raise a second PR to that PR and chain the PRs as much as I like. And that is absolutely true, because in the context of just Git, there's no such thing as stacked PRs, and you'd still just be daisy chaining PRs together. Only within GitHub itself do stacked PRs actually mean anything. But they do bring some massive advantages. And if you want to stay up to date with tech and AI, then subscribe to BetterStack. So to make use of stacked PRs, it's best to have the GitHub CLI installed. And with that, you can run stack init and then declare your new stack. So let's go to our text editor, and now we can go through an example of stacking multiple PRs. So the first thing we're going to do is run stack init setup database. So in this case, the PR or the branch is going to be called setup database. And this will be the base PR that's now going to point to main. Then we can make our changes. For the case of the demo, I'm just going to put changes into the README file. So I said I implemented the database, and then you can just do git add, git commit. So everything here is just standard Git. And then when you're ready to switch to your next set of changes, you can then do stack add and then your next branch. Then I can make more changes, create the API endpoints. Maybe I want to add some extra points here. So I'll commit this change. Then we can add a second change as well. And then again, we can commit this. So as you would expect, you can make multiple commits per branch. And then finally, we'll do stack add setup front end, and then make one more change here. And then again, we do git add and git commit. Now, once we're happy with all of our changes and we want to push all of those branches up to GitHub at the same time, we can just run one command, stack submit. This will then give us this mini CLI UI where we can go through each one of the PRs in the stack and add a title and a description if we want to, or we can just press next on each one and then submit 3 PRs in one go. So you can see all 3 of those PRs, setup database, API, and front end, have all been pushed to GitHub as a stack within a single command. And you can actually do all of this without the GitHub CLI. Just follow the old school method of linking PRs together manually from main to PR1 to PR2. Then GitHub will still detect these as a stack once you push them all up. The CLI just makes this much easier to manage. Now remember, nothing has changed within Git itself. If you want to check out a completely different branch that's not within the stack you're working on, you can do that and then just come back to the branch within the stack later. If we now head over to GitHub itself, you can see we've got each of our 3 PRs and they're raised as pull requests here. And you can see we also have this little stack icon here to tell us that these PRs are associated to a stack. If we open the tail PR, so the one that's on top of the stack, you can see down here, we can click merge stack and you can see this UI as well. So we can see every single PR as part of the stack. We could go through this and approve it one by one, but once we're happy with all of this, you can then just click merge stack and every single one of those PRs would be merged into main at the same time. You'll also notice that references to stacks are now integrated throughout the entirety of GitHub. So you can see them on the pull request page, on the pull request list page. You'll also see them on things like GitHub workflows and throughout really the entire application. So if you're working on massive PRs and you need an easy way to split that up into separate segments, you no longer need to wait for separate PRs to be merged into main and do all the rebasing and the merging yourself. You can just create one long stack, and GitHub is now perfectly equipped to manage all of that within the UI. And the CLI is a really nice way to manage it all automatically. There's been an overwhelmingly positive response to this online, and particularly when used with AI, I think this can be a really powerful feature when you do things like design agentic loops and let the agent run for hours. it can now create stacked PRs and link all of that work together rather than creating either a massive PR or loads of completely separated PRs. But I hope you found this one useful, guys. Let me know what you think of stacked PRs in the comments and subscribe to BetterStack to stay up to date with the latest tech and AI news. Thanks for watching, and of course, I'll see you next time.